You're hyping up the wrong rookies, and it's the peak of dynasty season and best ball is just revving up. So I'm here to tell you which landmines to avoid and where to avoid them right here on the Fast Draft channel. Right off the bat, we need to talk about RJ Harvey. He's gone from being a sleeper that everyone should know about and should be targeting later to now I'm worried if we're overdrafting him and we're expecting things that might not be there for him. Yeah, there's lots of opportunity in the Broncos. Audric Estime's still there. Not really sure in that situation, nor am I confident in him. More importantly, I don't know how confident I am in Sean Payton. I did like what I saw towards the tail end of last season, and he may have found his man in Bo Nix, but I feel like we need to see a lot more out of the running game to see if that old school West Coast offense that he used to have with the Saints is still alive and running. I know a lot of people like the receiving work, but he really wasn't that great of a receiving back when he was at UCF. He did have an excellent RAS, and there's a lot of stuff on the bone there, but I have a hard time taking him against better prospects who have good situations or at least the same amount of volume, like Caleb Johnson or even Colston Loveland, who I know we're comping him to Sam Laporta. I don't think it's quite there, but there is a lot of upside that I'm willing to chase over someone like RJ Harvey. Concerned about his age and production as well. Just a lot of red flags in his profile for the price. And again, it's not so much the prospect in a vacuum. It's just how much we're willing to pay for him. He's going 7th overall in our Origins draft, which is all rookies, basically a rookie draft, but best ball, start 4, draft 6. That's again a little bit too high, and I would take someone like Colston Loveland ahead of him, maybe even some of these other wide receivers. On Player Profiler, he's RB16 in Dynasty and Redraft. That's someone that you're taking with your top 5 picks, and it could be a bust. At that cost, he's an avoid for me. Next, we have Omarion Hampton. This is really not about the player and more about what we're expecting in year 1. For those of you who remember my conversation about Tyler Warren, this is the same thing here. I think he's in an excellent spot in an excellent offense for a team who knows how to use their running backs, but I think we're expecting that Najee Harris is just going to be a backup and not get that many touches, where I see closer to a 50-50 split than I do just Omarion Hampton being in a 70 split takeover. The same thing sort of happened with Bijan as well. We saw Tyler Algier get touches. We saw tight ends who shouldn't be getting the ball getting touches here. But in this case, I think that Najee Harris is a lot better than what people expect. And I think we punished him for being on the Steelers for so long. They did have a strong running game, but they only had a decent offensive line the last season. They didn't have an offensive coordinator, so they got the guy who made everyone complain about Bijan and Arthur Smith. So this is a case where I may not be taking him too early, especially in best ball and redraft. And in Dynasty, I'm going to try to buy him year 2 and maybe take someone like Travis Hunter or Trevion Henderson ahead of him in Dynasty. Very good player, and you should be targeting him. It's just where you're going to get him. I think he's going to be a lot cheaper this time next year than he is right now. Right now, you're drafting him to be a starter and a stud right away. I do think he will be a type of starter, as in a 1A, and I do think he'll be a stud, but again, splitting that volume. He's going 3 overall in our Origins tournament. I have a hard time taking him ahead of Henderson or even Quinshon Judkins, who should be taking over the Browns backfield. In Dynasty, he's already RB4, and in redraft, he's still RB14. You are expecting him to have RB1 numbers consistently right away. I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed. With that being said, if you've already drafted him or you already have him, I would probably hold him. You could try to sell him and buy him back later, but that's always risky. This isn't someone like, oh my goodness, I should sell him now if you've already gotten him. But if you have any drafts coming up, just be wary and be mindful that price could drop a little bit later and then rise up again once Najee Harris leaves or we get a better idea of what that split turns out to be towards the second half of the season. Next, Cam Skattebo, slow 40. He's already sharing the backfield with Tyrone Tracy. I don't even think Devin Singletary just completely goes away. So we have a case where we could have a 3-headed monster, and we're drafting Cam Skattebo, or some people are overdrafting Cam Skattebo to take over that backfield right away. I do like his receiving work. I do like his tough running style, but it's hard to see that he's immediately going to get that type of production in the NFL. What scares me the most happens just to be that the Giants don't have a great offense right now. We don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be. We don't even know what their coaching situation is going to be a year from now. So as he's creeping up as like 17 in our Origins tournament, which is fine when you consider best ball, but Dynasty, he's already a back-end RB2, redraft RB30. I'm not quite there yet if he's going to be splitting touches and might not even have the most valuable ones if Tyrone Tracy is still going to get a bulk of the receiving work. It's really hard to rely on these day 3 picks. Even someone like Woody Marks, who the Texans traded day 2 draft capital from the future to trade back into this current draft into day 3 to get. That doesn't always translate, and we've seen that with someone like Jalen Wright. Skattebo doesn't even have that. This could be a classic case of when the college tape and the college production isn't quite transferable to NFL and, more importantly, fantasy production. I do think he's going to have a role. I do think he can get touches, but he might be a touchdown dependent handcuff or a 1B or 1A situation at best. Especially when you think that he's going round 2 in rookie drafts, I'm letting someone else draft him, and I'm getting some of these other guys like the tight ends, Terrence Ferguson, Mason Taylor, or I'm going through a different position like Jack Besh at wide receiver. More importantly, I see Skattebo going ahead of someone like Bashul Tutin, who had an excellent RAS and has had glowing reviews from the coaching staff that drafted him. I'm not saying that Skattebo doesn't, but he's not being drafted by a new coaching regime and more of a team who could be having a complete rebuild in a year or so. For me, that's an avoid. And if you like content like this, hit the like and subscribe button. We're hitting into Bestball season and Fast Draft. We are a Bestball company. So we're going to have more tournaments coming your way. Right now we have the Origins tournament and we have our Flex 4 tournament. If you're in an IDP, we even have an IDP tournament. As that full Bestball season rolls around and redraft and a little bit more dynasty, I'll be giving you all that information right here. Use a code if you want to get in on Fast Draft, and like and subscribe if you want to be up to date on all the latest fantasy and NFL news. With that being said, the bills are paid. Now we're going to go over the wide receiver, Tre Harris. He's already caught strays for me already, but the hype hasn't seemed to slow at all. In our Origins tournament, his ADP is 14 right now. That's a little high when I like other receivers like Jack Besh a lot better, Kyle Williams a lot better. I know it seems like it's wide open for wide receiver 2, but this is a lower passing offense, and I think that Ladd McConkey is still going to dominate a lot of the receptions. Expect Tre Harris to play a lot of sacrificial X down deep, and we have to expect boom or bust gains for him and not the consistent PPR scoring that we like from someone like Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, or the upside for someone like Jack Besh I see in that regard. I do think he went to the perfect situation, and he is someone I think that you could target a little bit later, but again, it's not the player, it's the ADP and where we're drafting him right now currently. I know that Quentin Johnston sucks, but he's also someone that is going to get targets, and I think can be even better for this offense if he's more in a tertiary role where he's catching passes closer to line of scrimmage, where he can use that yak ability that they drafted him for. We don't even know how Aronde Gadsden's going to be used because tight end is wide open as well with just Tyler Conklin there. Again, it's about the volume and how much upside that he actually has in conjunction to where he's being drafted at. I'm letting someone else take on this risk, and I'm going to chase a lot of these higher upside players that are going after him. Lastly, I'll finish with a quarterback, Jalen Milroe. Still pretty reasonable in Origins at 29, especially in that tournament, but his dynasty rank and redraft rank and where we're taking him in rookie drafts right now is just out of hand. I want to talk about the hit rates of 3rd round quarterbacks or any quarterback taken in day 2. Really, the only ones that we have to show for are Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, then we have a lot of Desmond Ritters and Davis Mills. Not very exciting. Moreover, when you think of someone like Malik Willis, I'm more concerned that this is another Malik Willis. Even someone who I swore wasn't like Anthony Richardson, who was drafted 3rd overall, is struggling now. Now, he doesn't quite have the production that Milroe had because he wasn't healthy a lot of the year and really experiences Anthony Richardson's problem, but I think that the experience is more damning for Jalen Milroe because he does have a lot and he hasn't really developed that much as a passer. There are a lot of raw mechanics there. You're really betting on Sam Darnold to fail. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't a good bet, but if you think that Sam Darnold failing means that Jalen Milroe is going to come right out and be a great player, I think we should look again at someone like Anthony Richardson or even Justin Fields at times when it can be bad. If you can't pass the ball, it doesn't mean you're just going to run all over the team as well. Sometimes we underestimate people like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and what they can do through the air. Jalen Milroe isn't quite that yet. I have no problem with you taking him in the 3rd round as a dart throw, but taking him towards the top of the 2nd round or even the top second half half of the second round is a lot for me. There are a lot of players that are guaranteed production. Taking backup quarterbacks with low hit rates on a team that just bought a quarterback is a little bit risky. Again, the hit rates are pretty damning. It's not great. And when I talk about it's only been Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, it's only been that for years. Even bad quarterbacks, teams will take risks on in the first round. So if they fall far, it's pretty telling. We've seen a high bust rate within the back half of the second round. Let's not even talk about within the third. Then on top of that, what Jalen Milroe does best isn't exactly what the Seahawks have a lot of right now. They have 2 slot receivers in Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. Torrey Horton is someone with a fun profile, but that's not someone who's guaranteed to pop. Elijah Arroyo, that's something that I do like, especially for this offense, but they don't have a lot of the deep threats or a lot of the field spreading that someone like Jalen Milroe could utilize best. I'm concerned about where we're taking him and just going off the bet that Sam Darnold's going to fail. If Sam Darnold fails, I'm worried about the entire offense, including Kenneth Walker, including JSN, and I'm not just going to be excited that Milroe's going to come in and take over the team and fix things. We shouldn't bet on third round quarterbacks that highly. As always, I'm Jagger May. Love you guys. Hit the like and subscribe button if you want more content. If you guys have any fantasy, NFL questions, whether it's dynasty, redraft, best ball, don't be afraid to leave those in the comments and I'll get back to you. See you guys on the next one.
So I thought I needed.